Hey there, I see that this post did go through and I am streaming live now. The discussion topics, I'm continuing with the post I shared on Twitter here. Check out the stream at STL Volunteers. Um, I want to know basically more about the program that did air on, let's see, where's that link at? I guess we're going to pick up this discussion as um, the discussion from that stay tuned, stay tuned STL conversation. Um, they had a really enlightening discussion on summer camp, summer learning, the safety and summer services, the SSSS that happened here in the city. Um, I'm trying to find, I'm looking at my screen right now looking for that link I might be able to share. I shouldn't have to though, because I think if you go back into my stream earlier, well, actually last week at some point, I did, I favorited that post of theirs. So I guess if you look in my favorites, you can find the link to watch their video. That was, it caught me off guard. I was getting ready to go to bed that night, and I was just like flipping through the channels. I was like, oh, finally, I get to see Stay Tuned Stay Tuned St. Louis, and I noticed I had been following them or whatever for a little bit on Twitter, and I said, oh, cool. How about um, how about they're talking about the exact same thing that I had brought up, and I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So I'm glad to have actually seen an episode of that show, and I'm glad that people, like-minded people, think alike. That's pretty cool. A pretty cool moment that happened. Is I was kind of like exhausted, like, oh, I'm just gonna go to bed. And I flipped on that program, and they were talking about exactly what the. Let me see. I'm repeating myself. I didn't do it. Where is there? It is. Okay, it's summer learning video. Maybe if I screen share it with you here, you can catch the link and you can know exactly what I'm referring to. Would be the easiest way. Um, Screen share. That'd be the easiest way. And then you'll just have to like catch it as I'm showing you because I can't multitask and try to type out that URL for you to look at. Give me a second here. Let me see. It should say Google Hangout. Entire screen. It's gonna take a second. Entire screen. All right. Now, momentarily, you'll be looking at what I'm talking about as opposed to me. And I wonder if my microphone is muted. That would be awkward. I always goof this, so it does that weird tunnel screen thing. There it is. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. KETC, and there's the video. Share your screen, and the programs. It's well, there's the video I'm talking about, and maybe if I go back one, I don't know. I wonder if, I don't know how to exactly share this, but this was an awesome discussion that happened. You can go back and watch that, or There's that. Okay. So how do I now? I can stop screen sharing. And it should go back to our. Okay. Um, let's go ahead and mm, let's start playing. So why is it playing?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim tonight. Casey Nolan is helping with the coverage of the death of Missouri State Auditor and Republic.
All right. I didn't really want the video to start streaming. That was an awesome spot. I guess my first question was kind of about, I wanted to know if anybody had watched that movie, St. Vincent, yet, with Melissa McCarthy and who else is in that movie? Main character is Bill Murray. There we go. Bill Murray and Melissa McCarthy star in this movie called St. Vincent, and I fell in love with this movie. Um, being a person that's like all, uh, I feel a need to be vocal when it comes to uh, social matters, and this just kind of blew me away and said to me, made me think to myself like, wow, this is so normal, like a normal setting, and it's so it's like an ordinary thing, and it lets me know how one could easily just fall out of touch with a reality situation, like um, like that could be a reality for many people, and it takes Hollywood to show us, hey, this is how it plays out in real life. Okay, it's we can add a little bit of comedy to it, but these sort of stories really happen, and when we think about, oh, it's basically the story of the movie is about, um, in my mind, a character that is just that he's kind of just doing his own thing in life. He's at retirement age. He's not, he's got life in him, and he's just like, you know what, I can sit here and talk to you about who I am and what I've done, but I don't want to hear my story anymore. So that's just me, and people sort of know him by his habits, and he's a ordinary character, and I think that he is. I'm not doing this justice by any means. You'll have to watch the movie to get a better grasp of what this character I'm describing is about. And I really like Jenny McCarthy's character because she's she's somebody that's just like, hey, I'm trying to get myself to a place where I know I can be in life. I'm working. I made some decisions that didn't really uh, get me to where I wanted to be, and now I'm here. And hey, I'm doing the best with what I've got. And she shows us a real determination of an individual with a mindset that is saying, hey, uh, hit the brakes, Florence. I just said that. We can really make some better choices here. So with that being said, and that character and that whole movie, I wanted to kind of go into a more serious direction with the discussion about summer camps and child safety, and just making sure that you are, as a parent, as a adult mentor, older cousin, somebody that's present in somebody's life. Um, I'm trying to back away from the family because that's a I don't have a stick long enough to walk through that family, uh, labels of family and saying, well, we're really not related, but we've grown together throughout the years, so we're cousins, that sort of thing. I'm not going to walk through that. So what I'm trying to say is that whole setting of being in somebody's life, and you can kind of see where they're at and doing what they're doing or whatever, and you just want to you don't know, is it right for me to speak up? Should I say something? Is it my place? What am I going to, like, what is going to happen if I say something about something I notice? And I just want to point out this, there's different places online that we can go to and say, for instance, you want to make sure that the people that you do bring into your world, and when there's kids involved, of course, even more so, that they are, in they're safe people. You don't want your offspring to be in a place of just insecurity or kind of sketchy, sketchy tendencies. It's just like a nightmare for me to, like, even again, I always go back to like a movie or like a sketch or something I've seen on TV. Think about that sketch that was just on Saturday Night Live this past weekend, where the 50 Shades of Grey lady is going over, she's doing an interview, book signing or whatever with the, social engagement, and this character of a kid comes up and is asking her these questions about this movie, and it's, why did this kid see this movie? That's what I'm talking about when it comes to making sure that we have a safe place for kids to be kids. I know it sounds really commercial, whatever. We need to have that though. And even though I know if anybody knows me personally, I'm not a parent, don't have children. I did grow up as like a older sibling to my sibling. I have siblings that are younger than me, and I stepped in as like the older sibling and the decision maker and that whole thing. But what is important now is that whole we are in a place, I think, on where things can happen online. If we're not monitoring our what they're able to access through whatever spots they're in, whatever, like video calls, people are even still, it blows my mind that these cases that you see on TV are actual, like it's a possibility for this stuff to actually go on. And I don't want any adults ever to be like blindsided by the stuff just because they become preoccupied with whatever they're doing, and be blindsided by like, oh my gosh, is this a real thing, or am I watching my life happen here, or am I really watching my life happen? Is this a story? It's insane when you think about we're shown these things over and over on TV. If you're you watch programs like I said, like Criminal Minds, if you're into certain movies that tell good stories, or you know, even if you watch the news every once in a while, it's just like these like little, I think I would call them like little slip ups of, you know, uh, just relaxing just for a moment with your uh, child or with your young adults that you may have around. It's like, wow, all of a sudden you've got a freaking exposed, you've got someone exposed to something that there was no need for them to be exposed to. And that's scary. And who do you blame for something like that? I don't know. I don't want to be held responsible for something like that. I know that people that have to make decisions about, actual facts of what led to these circumstances. Um, why is this child suddenly endangered? Why am I at a uh, why am I this person's go-to babysitter, and I'm noticing that things just aren't seeming right. That sort of situation. Who's to blame? Who's held responsible for um, things that don't happen right? You know, and that's really scary. And I never want to see. I don't want the person that steps up out of to not be silenced. That person that doesn't want to be silenced to step into the wrong place and say something to the wrong person, but at the same time have to carry that burden of saying, oh crap, I noticed this and I didn't say anything, and then later on. So that's just it's really important to pay attention to I guess where we need to make sure we have safe places. Even as adults, we need to have safe places and take them seriously. Like when we say something, follow through and be present in that moment. Be real. Discuss topics that are open, and uh, you know learn how to have two-way conversations, I guess. These young people, they might come off as you know know-it-alls and back and forth or overly dramatic about something, but sometimes they really have um, points that need to be heard. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, is learn how to listen to what is being said, and don't put aside uh, this whole situation as well. If you're not seeing consistency, where's this page at? Hold on. I'm trying to find these warning signs, or where's it at? I was looking at care.com, and I want to go over to just to be frank, a lot of these summer camp counselors, or people that are into a position of decision making or looking for warning signs. There can be easily found, like, what are we looking for? Are we looking for something? Is there something we should look for? There's hotlines. I just seen this online. I don't know if we should screen share. It would be easier for you to find it the same way I'm looking at it. But there's I'll put this. I guess I can post this number. Where are we at? If you ever are in serious question of like a child and their safety, I guess this is coming off of the recent trending topic of what was that topic? It was about violence against, like, dating violence, like teenage dating violence or something. And I was blown away by that, because I'm like, are you kidding? Like, these girls that are like 12, 14. I guess I'm looking at two sides of this. I'm like, well, yeah, I assume that there's a possibility that these girls that are 12, 13, 14, I see them on TV, on MTV, they're having, freaking, they're making families. So I'm assuming that they're dealing with, they could possibly be dealing with dating violence as well. And that just blows my mind because I know when I was 12 years old, I don't think I was in any positions like that at all. I wasn't like, I don't know. I couldn't imagine myself in a, like, where I am now as a 30-year-old having to deal with like, as a 12 or 13, 14-year old looking back now, I'm like, in my 30s, I'm like, this is stuff that I can see my tired tired friends dealing with. Like, this is like stuff that is back here with, my age group, but they're dealing with this as well, these, 13, 14, 15-year olds, and that it makes me crazy because I don't understand it, and it's disturbing. But the number, I guess that bounced off of that topic that I was reading on, and then that made me think about, like, oh my gosh, these with summer programs, you want to make sure that that whole situation, like, going back further with the whole drama of possibly a teen domestic abuse issue, these teenagers dealing with adult issues. Now I'm looking at the hotline, the at-risk hotline, because sometimes when the kid isn't cute and adorable, when they turn 10, 11, 12, and they can start, fending for themselves a little bit, they're not completely legal. Like, these kids aren't 18 yet, but they're doing some things that are, you know, they're making decisions in their household maybe for an age that they aren't. And it does, a lot of times that stuff doesn't get recognized. And if there's ever any, like, physical abuse or harm or endangerment, or, like, stuff that happens that needs to be addressed, like uh, unsafe happenings, of course I find an information phone number for a place out of this area. But we could always find out. This is the site. Okay, I'm not in that area. There should be like a national number. Sorry, I know that this is redundant. I would just suggest Google searching simply at-risk youth or at-risk child at-risk hotline, and that would be the best way to find help if you are recognizing this. I was kind of looking for a listing of like stuff to look for, and I'm sure that's like here online somewhere. Like, you want to know, we're not, all of us are always, I know if you're anything like me, you're like, well, always kind of like second guessing something. This doesn't seem right. This isn't consistent, so there might be something wrong. Don't be stepping over, getting out of your lane. But I could see, where is this at? Like, if something is inconsistent and you are a person that is in the place to make a decision or report something that doesn't seem safe, you want to have like reference as to saying like, this is what I noticed, and this doesn't seem right. And I'm looking for something to read to you because I don't have an example, because I'm not, like I said, I'm just, uh, these things come to mind as I watch movies or hear something on the news. So I just want to share and kind of elaborate on this because it is serious and it is something to be aware of. And I'm doing, this guy is looking at me, man. This, I've got too many windows open. I can't even get a page to load on here. That's really bad. I've got too many windows open. Um, well, while that page is trying to load with the phone number, I'm pretty sure you just simply could search, Google search or Safari search, whatever. If you're looking for a licensed, really good care provider, there's always care.com. They have listings, I'm pretty sure, across the country, anywhere that you are, and you want to find somebody to take care of your child, go to care.com. If you're wondering, if you're not a licensed, person through care.com, but you are you do notice like strange, inconsistencies with, maybe, and you're wondering if it's child endangerment, you can go to Google or whatever browser search you can pull up and go to child or at-risk child signs, or something to that effect, and you should be able to find resources that would lead you in the direction of finding answers, or maybe before you step out and say something, knowing exactly what you're looking for. And I can't find it because it's, like I said, I've got too many windows open here. It's not letting me load any more windows. The next point we should talk about, let's see, let's take a little break here while this page is loading, and we can maybe I'll try to get somebody on the phone. All right, I'm glad you stayed with me here. Um, our next little point of discussion, I wanted to think about summertime more. Oh my gosh, summer, 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 spring, and this whole next past this cold month, March Madness. I'll catch you maybe when it gets warmer, but I want to jump into the next few months where we've got some. I can walk outside and not freeze to death. Not freeze to death. You know, you're not gonna. Some places around the country, you're gonna be freaking cold, freeze to death. But I want to be able to walk outside, walk around, you know, and not be freaking cold, 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 cold. So, where that with this weird, crazy weather and um, these fronts that have been going on, you know, it gets warm. It got warm here the other, like, couple days ago. It was warm enough to go, you know, be outside for an extended amount of time and not be like, um, just, you know, freezing. So I took my bicycle and I went, you know, out. I'm like, this is nice. It was cold, but it wasn't like, you know, miserable cold. So when we're over this miserable coldness, I'm sure that over the last several months, there have been a lot of activities that people are able to keep their little ones, you know, occupied with because it's um, it's hard to get them bundled up and send them outside in this weather because they're going to come back in. You know, they get to go outside for what, 20 minutes of fun. They come back in and they're all snotty, congested. They don't want to do anything, all because they were like, oh, great, you know, you got to deal with that. And that's no fun. So there are several pages on here I found for fun summer activities to do indoors. I noticed that thinking about this bizarre winter weather, you know, this really cold winter weather, we need to find some, you know, there's going to be probably days even in the summer when, you know, the weather isn't going to be perfect. You know, there's going to be rainy days, windy days, those tornado warning days. Um, that we're going to have to deal with in the summertime. And there's activities you could find, search through any site online, like Google. You can find, I don't remember the exact wording I used to search it, but it came right up when I did. summer rainy day activities, and a whole listing of different like other mom bloggers, or um, there's mom bloggers, there's news articles that have been published, and you can find lots of fun games to uh, keep people occupied, and not necessarily popping in a video every, although that is nice, because I know once I get hooked on one video for one episode of one show, I can DVR it and just watch it over and over, and I'll be, happy for, you know, happy until the next task has to get handled. Like, oh, the load of clothes needs to get changed out. We need to go into the finish this load of laundry, unplug from the TV for a minute, and go do this next task. I know that those movie moments, like having something that you're plugged into on TV, is nice. So I'm not gonna knock the kid for liking their um, favorite Disney movie over and over and over and over and back to back to back to back. But there are more things that can be. You can do more things than watch the movies or plug them into their uh, iPads, iPods, whatever. Some more activities. It's easy, but there's other stuff to do. And Google says so. I just looked it up. Um, as far as what is the other? I'm always obsessed with watching the news articles. Like just recently, there's CNN Heroes. That usually happens in like November, December. They do the award for that. It's an ongoing thing. Ongoing community of people that are just, they're not necessarily part of the CNN Heroes, but they're CNN Heroes is a program that recognizes these places or people that are doing some amazing work around the country or around the world to make other people's lives better. And along with that, there was Making a Difference. The top story aired on what network was that? The network that handles or works on the CNN Heroes, that does um, that whole series and promotion. That's on CNN, hence the name CNN Heroes. The Making a Difference. They are. I think they do a spot on NBC National Network, the National NBC Network. But like I said, since I have like all these different windows open, trying to not mess up my talking points here, but it's not really working because I'm pausing and breaking, and there we go. Okay. Making a Difference, that is NBC. They are the most recent story that aired was a lady that was, I guess she's like past retirement, and she's using her resources to feed her community. And they have a hashtag that you can tweet out. Well, the video here, I guess we should do the screen share thing again, where you can look at what I'm looking at. Oh, I lost my window again. The window you guys are in. And every time I start these, I forget to get myself. I'll be drinking coffee all day, or drinking water, you know, having something to drink all day. I'll be sitting here and I won't remember when I'm actually speaking. I should probably have a glass of water or something while I'm talking because I can hear myself right now. I'm cracking up. Like, why didn't I remember my glass of water? Okay. So what I'm looking at now, where are we at? I was looking at the, gosh, this one. No? No, that's not it. I must have clicked off of it. Oh gosh, I hate when I do that. My summer sport camps. Oh, we were looking at Senior Heroes, and this is the page I was on, and I don't know why it opened up to something completely different. Because I was not looking at this. Hmm. And it's doing the weird screen thing again. Okay. So eventually we're going to get this page to load, and you'll see the that I was discussing about the. I don't remember where exactly this person lives or what city, but this is a global sort of thing, as in global with globally local, globally local sort of difference that someone could make. Well, I don't know why. I guess NBC's. Oh, there. Okay, so there's the page. You can see partial. You can see partially most of it, not all of it, because it hasn't loaded completely. Um, there it is. This story right here. This retired nurse uses her pension to feed thousands in her town, and that's the story I wanted to share. Um, while we're talking about this making a difference on NBC, their in-depth journalism stories, real people doing real, um, making real differences in people's lives, and that's amazing. The stories that are shared everywhere. If you pay attention, there's always good news. There's not always news about um, stuff that is devastating. There's not always devastating news. It's easy to get sucked into the devastating news stream. Uh, you pick and choose what you plug into and pay attention to. Not everybody's trying to put your kids in a home, and not everybody's trying to, hunt you down for uh, not paying your library fine. There's not always somebody out to get you, uh, and there's not always a bunch of crime and people killing each other, and there's not always war stories. There is stuff really going on in the world, but you don't always need to plug into that uh, because that's that's your job. That's your job. But a lot of times, I think we absorb too much of that, and it shows itself in like uh, anxiety. I believe if we are constantly, uh, we're constantly watching these, stories about people getting shot or people just, being harassed or people, stuff happening and car accidents and just, crime and drama and pain and hurt and house fires and people, just madness. I think if we're constantly uh, paying attention to that, or it's going to, that's what, where's your, where's your point of like clarity? Like, why is this? That's going to be what you're bringing in, and that's what you're going to put out. So that's not healthy. I wouldn't want to be around somebody that's world revolves around that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like that sort of craziness and, just in the thick of the drama. Like they need a place to fall back to that isn't about what they're working on, like isn't their work. Like I said earlier, like kids need a place to be kids, and you know, you don't want uh, them to be in an unsafe place. And then these adults that are in, this is their life, their work, their job. They need to have a place that they can go to as well, that is like away from the constant. All I you know all I see all week is people getting uh, shot at, or not shot at directly. I'm not watching people get shot at, or all I'm doing all day is listening to stories of people that are needing something, or um, listening to people that are hurting in some way, that are needing help, um, that are financially in a place of, despair. All this every day, all day. This is like their job, like what they do. They need to have a place of release as well, um, and that is something that's a thought to resonate on. Um, so, with that in mind, let's go back to this. Let's clear the air a bit here, and think happy. Let's think of a place that we can get everybody, uh, like this household. Let's, our fictitious household that we're talking about. We've got the kids. They're happy. They're doing great, and then we've got the adults that are living and working and doing this. They've got this really hard life. Let's get them all together. Everybody needs to have some good quality fun time. And I like to think of it as, even if, our constant is, looking at the calendar and saying, okay, well, during these months throughout the year, these, our kids are going to be out of school, unless you're in a place where they're in school 24 or, all year. During this time of year, they're going to be out of school, and we're still going to, be working, doing life. Uh, how do we break from all this and just put some time aside and say, we're going to unplug from everything and go and do something that is, focusing on our development as a group of individuals that are, together. And that's where trips to places like Disney come into mind, and summer, fun summer stuff, or even if, it takes a little bit longer than summer, because not always do people want to go out and be in a warm climate when it's, 100 and some odd degrees and hot and dry, and, whatever elements make you feel relaxed. And I'm thinking, save up and find those times that can be relaxing and fun to pull your people together. Everybody that's in the household doing this school thing, doing this, um, 9 to 5 thing. Pull people together in the household and say, hey, look, um, you know what? No matter what's going on here in our house, no matter who didn't remember to feed the dog, who didn't remember to take out the trash, no matter who didn't remember to put their clothes away, no matter who's got a bad mark on a paper that's coming back, just take a minute and say, look, we need to focus. We're getting the heck out of here for a certain amount of time in the next few weeks. We're going on a vacation. And, um, you know, explain the importance of that. And that's uh, just what needs to happen, because a lot of times people get so pulled into their everyday and, well, I know if I do this, then somebody's going to expect me to do that, or whatever the case may be. Um, a lot of people depend on if you're that family, and you know that no matter what's going on at home or at work, you know that you are the as awkward or as crazy as I notice that when my life becomes chaotic, like that's when people are depending on me the most. And that is something that, it just happens. Like when chaos hits me, like when I can't seem to find I can't find anything that I need to be right, I'm like, this, I'm in the thick of it. This is where I'm supposed to be, and this is uh this is where I'm, useful, and I know people are feeding off of what I'm saying, and I'm feeding off what they're saying, and it's important to realize that and stay. Sometimes, pull away from that. Like, hey, we are, me and my unit need to go over here, away from that situation, and not be dependent on so much as we are being dependent on. And that's an important something that needs to happen sometimes. And I can imagine, especially with people that are having kids, or have children, or small children, or teenage children. It all is the same. I'm going to take another break. And our next topic of discussion will simply And last but not least, I want to tell you guys and girls and my audience in general about, okay, so warmer weather is going to start showing up, and we got to make sure that we're showing consistency when we are sending our young adults and our young people away for a few hours a day. They need to be clean and fed and this sort of thing, and I'm sure the parents know this already. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at clothing uh, consignment in particular because it's a way to keep their wardrobe as well as um, we're upcycling when we're consignment shopping, and we're making sure that we find we find the right things for our little ones to be wearing, and Easter suits. Hello. I'm really geeked about Easter this year because it means we're almost there. We're almost there into this warm weather. Now, I'm not going to lie. In my lifetime, I have seen snow on like the Easter morning. Uh, what was it? It was like a Easter one year was like in May, and May 1st there was snow. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be naive about this weather, but you know I'm looking forward to warmer weather. And of course, just like everybody else, when it starts to get too hot, I'm going to complain and say, "Oh my gosh, I wish it would stop being so hot," or whatever. But these consignment shops are online, and I'm kind of amazed right now that there's actually um, somebody's very smart and business savvy. They've turned consignment. There's consignment stores online. Like consignment, it's called swap.com. I guess it's what it is. It's exactly what it says. You can sell and swap gently used kids' clothes uh, conveniently online, and that's amazing. There's a maternity clothes consignment. There are uh, I guess the big one, uh, I'm a goof for not knowing this, but Once Upon a Child, I guess there's a bunch of those around. That's a big name consignment shop. There are stores everywhere for consignment purposes. I know the young adult one that I know of is Plato's Closet is the one for the older young adults, and the younger young adults, or younger children, like what 10 and younger. I'm assuming could shop depending on whatever clothes are available. I know that they have consignment shops for kids, and I don't know. There's the T numbers and sizes and all that. And I'm not the expert on child clothing, so you're going to be referred here at this point to uh, one of these magnificent places online. Simply search on Google children's consignment shops near me. Put that in your search browser, and you will get a listing of, like I said, there's Once Upon a Child, is one of the names that I'm kind of familiar with. I mean, I've heard of them before. And then there's different consignment shops around. Oh, let's see, there's an article here. It says by Reader's Digest that I guess informing us as to some things that the consignment shops won't tell us. I don't know if I want to know what they won't tell us. There's stores, and you can find whatever you're looking for there, and get them ready for Easter. All those adorable little queen faces and their um, beautiful curls. I remember being the night before Easter several years ago. How is it? You know, getting the my head is this big, but it's this big with all the freaking hair that mom is trying to comb out. So don't forget, moms might need a. Well, it's Mother's Day. I can't remember. Mother's Day is right around that time. But anyways, uh, don't be ashamed to send mom a bottle of box of wine. Maybe she might like that. I don't know. In order to get the all the little ones ready for Easter Sunday. Uh, I know it's a chore, especially if there's more than, or maybe do a lock in. What is that? Like everybody meet at one person's house and do like make it a weekend. We're gonna get clothes ready. We're gonna get food ready. We're gonna get hair ready on this weekend. You know, this whole house of people, so everybody can have a nice spring fling, and that will be something to look forward to. I'll catch you guys again on 2 weeks from now. I'll post another little chat, and we will continue there. Thanks for checking in with me. Have a good rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend.